The UFC is the premier combat sports organization on the planet. And you want to talk about big shows that they've done, UFC 100, 200, 300, the Sphere, these big, huge fights that they put on. The White House is head and shoulders above every single one of those. Not to mention the fact that I love America. I bleed red, white, and blue. It would be at the White House on our 250th anniversary. So, yeah, I mean, of course, but you're also talking a year from now. It's like when Dana's fielding questions right now, people are talking about matchups and who's going to be on the card and what it's going to look like. And he's like, guys, we got a year from now. We still got a lot of planning to do. And a lot can happen in 1 year. So, we'll see, but they definitely know I'm interested, and I'm going to meet with them this week while I'm here in New Orleans.
Would the ideal opponent for that one be the guy you've wanted to fight for a long time and who knows might be the president of Ireland by that time?
Yeah, could be the president of Ireland, which would be very, very ironic. Obviously, I'm kind of it's definitely the fight that I want. Everybody knows that's the fight that I want. I have said publicly that's the fight that I want, but I'm also the guy who's not going to wait for that fight. As you can see by me fighting Charles and then Patty, 2 fights in 5 months. Once he got injured, once he pulled out of the fight, once we had to move, didn't have to move on. I could have very well sat on the sidelines and kind of waited and saw what happened. But I was ready to get back in there and prove to the fans who I am, how I operate, and I'm going to go out there and want to put on fun, exciting performances. I did that against Charles, did that against Patty, and now we're kind of just waiting. I'm enjoying summer, but Conor's the guy. Conor's the guy that I want to fight. At this point, it feels like we have to finish the Ultimate Fighter 31. However, you know what? If it never happens, it never happens. We'll see.
At the end of the day, you guys are fighters and you're never just going to want to end your career, the way that he did or would if he doesn't fight again. Do you think he fights again? He's, in the news for things all the time, good or the bad, photos coming out now and whatnot. Do you, in your mind, whether it's you or not, do you think Conor gets back in there at least one more time?
I've remained neutral on it, man. This is a much more complicated sport than the fans and the media understand. If you sit back and you sit down with Dana or Hunter Campbell and these guys, Sean Shelby, Mick, the matchmakers, the kind of stuff that they have to deal with, aside from just trying to get two people to fight, and then there's a bunch of outside circumstances. Obviously, if you look at Conor, the way he is operating, what he's doing, how he's been in some hot water here and there, headlines, people can judge, make their judgments for themselves. Does he fight again? I don't know. So I can tell you this: I'm not necessarily waiting. I'm not waiting for him, as you can see. So, I would like to see him come back. I think the UFC would like to see him come back. I think the combat sports world would like to see him come back. And I do think that he doesn't want to end his career back in, what was it, July of 2021, when he broke his leg. Then the pull out fight after the Ultimate Fighter with me, plus all the, hey, I'm fighting this date now, and then psych, and then all the kind of ups and downs in the games that he has played with the fans that have supported him, the organization that has supported him, the people that have supported him. So I think he comes back and fights just to make that right. But is it me? I don't know. I may be long gone by the time this dude finally comes, gets his house in order and comes back. I was in constant contact with the people that were close, some of his close childhood friends, and Amy, and some guys that we wrestled with back in the day that were a little bit older than me. Have not spoken to him on the phone, but I have reached out, obviously. And that video that was posted, that was sent while he was still unconscious. A small group of us kept it under wraps and kind of private for a while for privacy reasons. And we raised some money behind closed doors and got him from Wisconsin to, or sorry, from where he was in Las Vegas to Wisconsin. And man, it's just good to see him. Good to see him speaking again, awake, conscious. Obviously, it was hard to see him that way, man. I am not sitting here talking to you today if Ben Askren was not in my life. I believe God puts people in your life for a reason. And Ben was put on my path for a reason, in my life for a reason. And to see one of the men that I respect and look up to and love and cherish our friendship so much at 147 pounds, in a 50-50 type of live or die situation was absolutely nuts. But it's good to hear he got the transplant. It's great to hear that he is back on his feet and conscious.